You have found We Like the Blazers with Big Boy and Tiny Boy. I am Brandon Goldner, a.k.a. Tiny Boy, and over there, as always, is our friend Ryan Whitledge, a.k.a. Big Boy. What's up, Big Boy?
I just found out I'm Big Boy. It's first time my slim and slender build has ever been called Big Boy.
I mean, you can either be Big Boy or Andre 3000. Either one is a great choice. How are you, my friend?
Yeah. I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm drinking a canned pina colada in rural Connecticut. Excuse me. Been having a great time here. You'll notice I have a bite out of my face because, Ryan, Cassie and myself and her cousins and her uncle went in on purchasing a foil. Do you know what a foil is? Is this something you've heard of before? Like a
hydrofoil?
Correct. So
okay, then yes.
You get pulled behind a boat on a board, but the board has like a stick and then these like manta ray wings on it that lifts you out of the water. As I'm learning how to do this, I fall off as I continue to fall off, and it just slammed me in the face. Cassie got hit in the leg and got cut pretty badly. So, and I have an interview tomorrow, man. So, like, we'll see how this goes. But yeah, anyway, it's been good stuff. Having a good time.
Well, if it's based off your looks, you still got me beat 9 out of 10 interviews. So there you go. Yeah, that luscious head of hair of yours.
It's the lighting. At this point, we're going to get you, between now and the regular season, we're going to get you a different light. I do like this lighting, though. It's a weird kind of, I don't know. It's not perfect, but it's
your
good.
Lighting is always better. I came in here and I was like, we need no video because I didn't realize how wrinkly my shirt was that I threw on when I got out of the shower. And I was like, no video. You're like, we're on video.
Your shirt actually doesn't look that bad, to be honest. Like, I think
yes,
it looks
because
fine.
I'm pulling it down. I'm doing this right now.
I think you're fine. Okay, speaking anything else of banter related, by the way, I just want everyone to know, listen, it's summer. We've got stuff to do. We're working, we're vacationing, we're camping, and we're having fun. We're probably going to come in not every single week, and I think that that's totally okay. So shout out to Rogue Media and Corey Dickman. Thanks for being patient with us. But at any rate, any other banter-related topics before we get into our various Blazers topics du jour?
I got nothing outside of my camping trip that I took this weekend. I apparently very quickly took a very hard left turn in my camping trip. So this camping trip, it's a yearly trip. We go out with buddies. A friend of a friend has property that they have pretty much dedicated for, like, you can park like 3 to 4 trailers on the land, and then the rest of it's all tent camping or whatnot. And everybody, it's down on a lake. Everybody brings their boats, brings their jet skis. I ended up out on a boat like 3 different times on Saturday. Brought some beverages each time I went out on the boat. You know, after the third time that I came back, we consumed some food. I went to go wander off in the woods to pee. I ended up passing out on the couch on somebody's trailer. I woke up, didn't remember that I was in somebody's trailer. I could not find my way out because my glasses fell off my face and I couldn't see anything. It ended up waking them up at 1:30 in the morning so that they could free me from the prison that I found myself in. And then I wander out, and there's the whole rest of the group that's out there that's still drinking moonshine at that point. And they're like, oh, Ryan's alive. And I was like, did anybody even attempt to send my wife to me? And they're like, oh, no, we have pictures. We have video. I had spotlights. I had lasers in my face. I was not waking up. There was nothing. Nothing was moving me. And then I just wandered into my tent. My wife was like, congratulations, you're alive. And then I fell asleep for the night. And then I woke up the next morning and everyone's like, how bad's your hangover? I was like, dude, I'm fine.
Congratulations on staying alive. Moonshine, I actually was at a party the other week and someone brought some moonshine. It was actually really good. We were doing like a Scotch tasting, and I'm not familiar. Are you like a Scotch person?
I have some friends of mine that when they come into town, my best friend is a big Scotch and cigar guy. So when he comes into town once or twice a year and we get together, we'll go out to a very fancy. Dude's probably got the biggest set of
balls. It's like the manliest thing you could be into is Scotch and cigars.
Not this big. I've known him since he was 14. Very tiny. But But no, like we'll go out to a very fancy cigar bar or whatnot and order a couple glasses of scotch, have a cigar or two, and just sit and, eat steaks, do the bougie rich white guy thing, whatever. It's all on his dime. But yeah, no, I'm familiar.
Okay. I'm not as familiar. Like, I do feel like this year for me is going to be Brandon, the one of the whitest people on the planet, fully embracing my caucasity, because the East Coast is like a little bit more formal, like than Oregon, than I'm used to. Like, so we had some scotch, and I'll say the moonshine was better than the scotch. Scotch is really good. The scotch is really good, but it's like, it's like the peat and like the burnt peat from the specific region of Scotland, and you're wearing your kilts, and I'm just like, listen, it's really strong. It's good. But I took like 5 microliters, like the tiniest sip, and my whole body was aflame. So I don't know how you guys do it. Y'all with the big balls.
Moonshine
doing
is
scotch.
great. Moonshine is great because there are so many flavor options with moonshine. And like this group of people that I go camping with, there are 2 of them that every year when they bring the moonshine up there, it is literally it is apple pie moonshine. And I swear to God, you might as well throw throw a slice of apple pie in a blender and drink it. It tastes no different, except it gets you effed up real effing quick.
And that's what makes it dangerous, because it's so good.
Yeah.
And you just keep going. Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. It was cool. It's all good. Lots of new experiences for me. And Ryan, segue time. Lots of new experiences for the Portland Trailblazers. They were, in fact, at Summer League. Are we ready to talk about this? They're playing again.
I'm giving you the clap. That's the best segue you've had in probably 2.5 to 3 months. All the rest of them are super awkward. That was smooth as butter. Good job, kind sir.
At some point,
eventually you'll figure out this podcasting thing.
It's going to take me a couple more years, I fear, but the Blazers are at Summer League. So they played against the Spurs. They lost that game. They play again tonight against the 76ers. By the way, y'all should go to blazersedge.com, find the recap of that game from yours truly, Brady Goldner. I will be recapping Summer League. That is how committed I am to the grind, Ryan. I'm committed. I'm here. I'm with it. Let me, before I begin in on just the briefest of recaps of Summer League, which, by the way, I mean, what can we take from it? I don't know. Did you have any opportunity not to watch the game or to watch highlights or to even like get commentary from other people who did? Like, what is your level?
I have seen like the AP News. I have seen the AP News recap. Seeing is that their first Summer League game happened while I was camping, and I had 1 bar of roaming 4G cell service. So obviously I was not going to be able to watch that game. And in all honesty, for me personally, I think Summer League is much better taken in person. If anybody ever I've regaled people, with my batshit crazy stories of being at Summer League, but there is something to be said for, lack of a better term, sitting in like a high school gym. The Blazers don't get the main court in Thomas and Mack. Like they're off in the side court. There's 2 different courts in that building. There's something to be said for like sitting in a high school gym kind of atmosphere and watching the rookies and watching these up and comers and watching these guys that are trying to prove themselves to earn a spot on a roster, possibly get a 2-way. It is a very fascinating experience. It is also a very intimate experience. Like, we go to Blazer games, it's 20,000 people in the Moda Center. Not that kind of intimate, you weird sicko. Baby. If you're doing that at a basketball game, you need to escort yourself out of there.
You're the one who said it was intimate. Those are your words, not mine. I'm just saying.
But like in Summer League, everybody is close in.
Ryan Whitledge over here, Neil Olshey over there. Their eyes lock during the presser. Sorry. Keep going.
Oh my God. That's hardcore callback.
I just put that image in everybody's head. Sorry. Okay.
I guarantee you that was not sexual. I mean, like, you're sitting there with like 4,000 or 5,000 people, like tops in like that kind of stadium, unless it's like a Wimby versus, another top prospect kind of thing, a Wimby, Brandon Miller or whatever. It's a very
Like
cool
a Bronny
experience.
James, I'm sure like tons of people came from LA to see that.
Fuck you! I swear to God, if we mention his name one more time, I'm done. I quit this
Vegas
podcast.
is within driving distance of LA. That's all.
It is true, but no, I the best way to take an NBA Summer League is in person. You and I did try to weasel our way in and be official people there. Fingers crossed for next year, but
we got it next year.
No, I did not watch it. I caught the recap. Offense, meh. Defense, yay. That's what I got.
That's fair. And I do actually think this is one of the rare cases where if you just saw the box score, it would mostly tell the story. The Blazers got down big, came back late. Obviously, I think we should spend a second on Donavan Clingan. He was 1 for 8. A lot of his shots were, forced. They weren't great. His 3-point shot, it actually looks okay. Here's what I'll say about his 3-point shot. It looks like it's mechanically simple. He doesn't jump very high on it. He doesn't move very much on it. And yes, he airballed one of them. That's fine. I think that maybe someday he'll be good at taking threes, but not today. His free throw form, by contrast, actually looked quite good.
By the way, that just sounds like Yusuf Nurkic's entire tenure for the Blazers. His form looks good. Dude, he may be better.
Except for, this dude is not 28. He's 20. So that's a difference there. He also did have 15 boards and 5 blocks. And here's what I'll say. He was noticeably vocal on defense to the point where you could hear it through the broadcast. I went back. I'm a sicko. I watched the game and you could hear him calling stuff out on defense. Doris Burke, being one of the announcers, called that out earlier in the game. At some point in the third quarter, you could hear him saying, drop back, come back, come here. And hey, listen, if you want someone to be a defensive presence, to be a humongous guy, you want him to communicate. So that's great. That was really good. I will say, and Mike Richmond said this on the Locked On Blazers podcast, and because he said it, I was looking for it, and I can confirm that he is right. And you don't need my confirmation because Mike knows what he's doing. He's smarter than I am, smarter than I'll ever be. The guards are gonna do him no favors. The Blazers guards in Summer League are not going to do Donavan Clingan any favors whatsoever. He's not going to get set up. He's not going to get the ball in the right places. There were multiple times where he got position, boxed out, calling for it. And they tried to pass it to him and got picked off, or the pass wasn't there. They tried to lob it to him. They put it in the wrong place. So I will say this, 1 game sample size, huge overreaction, Ryan, huge overreaction. I think Donavan Clingan will look better in an NBA ecosystem than he does in Summer League, point blank period. What say you, sir?
This is going to make me feel dirty, but I agree with you.
Yes, let's go.
Because, Scoot's skill set is not necessarily as a score-first guard as we're used to with Damian Lillard. He's very much a set up his teammates and that kind of stuff. So if we're currently watching Donavan Clingan, who does not have Scoot Henderson playing with him in Summer League, and we're asking for can he just get a single guard to help set him up? That is one of Scoot's best attributes, is that as a distributor. Right. He just didn't necessarily have anybody last year that was, and knock on DeAndre Ayton all you want for this comment, but that was willing to finish at the rim. So if this is Donavan Clingan's thing in which he can use his size, use his mobility, use his physicality to get position and block people out to get those passes, and he's willing to do that to prove himself, that does fill me full of hope that point guard and center pairing in the future can, pay dividends. Do I expect it to magically be something as of the start of next season? No. Also, do I want it to? No. They need to lose. Capture the flag. But anyways.
Go in the pooper for Cooper. That's my...
That is... Who is that yours? Because I will not endorse that.
That's from Trace Keats, Taz, JD. Shout out.
No, if it is not capture the flag, I don't care. Capture the flag
it's capture the flag, but I like going the pooper for Cooper. I agree with you, and what I'll say before I get into just a slight negative about Clingan, he is. It's so obvious. I mean, you heard it. Him coming out of UConn, consecutive national championships. Dude wants to win. Whatever. He's a system player. He's good at playing that. He is a cerebral player. He can see stuff. He's able to figure out what's happening on the court and not just see it for himself, but also call it out for people who are making the comparison to Myers Leonard, because they both have to be tall white guys. You can end that comparison now. Myers Leonard looked like a lost baby deer on the court every time he was on the court from age 19 through age 29.
Do we know if Clingan's a racist yet?
I very much hope that he is not. We don't know that one way or the other. Let's hope that he's not. So, heady player, cerebral player, he's going to look better, I think, in the NBA ecosystem. That's my hot take. One slight demerit, and this is where I slightly disagree with Mike Richmond on the specifics of this demerit. He did get beat on rebounds, despite the 15 rebounds, which is like, you got beat on rebounds? He should have had like 25 rebounds, like for real. He was not boxing people out. He was like very lazy about it. Like the ball would go up, and what you're supposed to do is like immediately look for someone to box out and then go and like make the space. And he wasn't doing that, and he got beat a couple times. I think this is a very easy place for him to clean that up just by paying attention to it. I'm not concerned. His screen setting was really good. I do think his like center of gravity, there's a bit of a problem right now. He's a bit top heavy, it looks like. But the fact that he can set solid screens, Ryan, I think he can distribute his weight properly. He can be a big guy, take up space. I'm going to have no problem with his boxing out. And again, even with bad boxing out, still got 15 rebounds. Can't shake a stick at that.
And do you think that bad boxing out could have anything to do with the fact, because again, he's coming into this as, he's a defensive mastermind or whatnot. And so he's trying to avoid that, foul prone narrative. And like, he's maybe being a little overly cautious in boxing out,
It looked to me like inattentiveness. Like if you were, I don't know if you can do this for summer league games, but if you were to go like, usually for NBA games, you go to like stats.nba.com. You could look at a player, look at all their possessions. You would find that he was like not paying attention. It didn't look intentional. It looked like he was not paying attention, which is fine. Look, it's your first summer league game, right? It's your first game as a pro. He's probably thinking about a lot of shit. He did a lot of things right. So like, all to say, I'm hopeful that this game tonight, again, you can't over extrapolate from summer league. You shouldn't overreact. You shouldn't make hot takes. But we love doing that here, and we like the Blazers. Yeah, of course, yeah. It was hopeful for me. Like I felt like he played better than the box score. The box score really, again, like 15 boards, 5 blocks. It's not bad.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And like as the Blazers eventually figure out like their lane, as it stands right now, looking at Shaden Sharp and Jeremy Grant long for the team, that is a good offensive potential. And so if Scoot and Clingan can, work on their 1-2 game, that opens up a whole different offensive perspective. Again, all of this is just long speculation because we don't ultimately know where the trajectory of the team is going to be. Like a lot of people, just based off me saying that, would be like, oh, well, Anthony Simons is a bucket unto himself. Okay, well, right now the Blazers have way too many guards and way too many bigs. So
if Anthony Simons were 6'7", this would be fucking awesome. I mean, honestly, it would
be the wet dream of Blazers fandom.
It'd be great. It'd be great, but he's not. Okay. So like, yeah, to your point. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I think like early returns on Clingan and like the returns are as early as they can get. Like I walked away, like, again, I saw the box score. I listened to the podcast. When I watched, I was like, yes, I like what I'm seeing. He is exactly what was billed. We were sold what was billed, which is a person who really cares about defense. And again, that communication, the fact that you could hear him through the screen was great. One quick shout out to Ryan Rupert. He went 13, 6, and 5 on 6 of 11 shooting. He looked better than I thought he would.
I was going to say that's better shooting numbers than I think he put up all freaking season last year, including Summer League last year.
Totally. Like, I mean, and I thought he looked better than the box score. They were like, I'm not Ryan, I hate to admit this, I'm not the greatest basketball analyst, okay? I'll leave that to the Danny Morangs and the Sean Heikens of the world, but like, I can't tell you what it was I saw, but I liked what I saw from him outside the box score. His movement, his confidence, that looked good too. Not much else to note on that. Anything else before we move to the next topic?
Just to go back to why I think that attending in Summer League is such a good experience.
You just want to throw this in my fucking face, don't you, bro?
I cannot.
Hey, Brandon, I've been to Summer League and you haven't, dick. Okay, I get it, Ryan.
Twice. It's fine.
Okay. Listen.
But one of the coolest things that I had noticed too is like the guys that are up and coming, the guys that are trying to earn roster spots, not just maybe on the Blazers, but on any team. Their family seeing them there is such an awesome experience. Like I will never forget that there was a player the first year that I went to Summer League, and he was playing for the Blazers. I am totally blanking on his name right now, but me and my buddies were just absolutely cheering for him. But because we were cheering for him after the game, like when we kind of came out on the concourse, he was out there talking to like his mom and his sister. And he looked at us and he was like, "Hey, thank you guys for that encouragement." And then his mom was like, "Oh, were those the guys that were cheering for you?" And then we're like, "Yeah, no." I was like, he played awesome. And his mom was like, "Oh, let's get a picture." His sister, I could guarantee you, is probably his media manager, because she was like, no, they're not important. Don't take their picture. But the mom waved him away, and there's a picture in existence of me, him, his mom, my two buddies. We're sitting there, and they could not have bigger shit-eating grins on their faces that people came up, appreciated their son's game, appreciated his game. So it is... That is one of the other things about Summer League is I try not to be too judgmental of a lot of these players, because this is those guys' shots. Like, players come up from the draft. We watch Summer League and we're expecting to cheer on, the top 10 picks in the draft, or our team's,
or the top 55 picks.
Never. That kid doesn't need any more cheering on. Anyways, but like cheering on all these players, but for a lot of these kids, this is their shot, this is their time. Like, is this going to be their break into the league? And so, like, I do try to caution people to be overly judgmental or overly critical of Summer League play. To not be those things. Yeah, it can be indicative of how you will see certain high prospects be as an NBA player, but we have also seen super high draft picks that have absolutely failed at Summer League and went on to have great careers. We have seen unknown names that have had absolute breakout Summer League MVP kind of, performances, and you never hear from them again. But be respectful of these guys. This is their own personal NCAA tournament, especially if they didn't get one.
It's to that exact point. It's again, I'm really Mike Richmond. I love you. I'm biting off your podcast a little bit. It's the Nicola Batum, right? Who was terrible, couldn't dribble a basketball, ended up starting that year versus the co-MVP of the 2012 Summer League. Ryan, can you pull the name of the man who shared the 2012 Summer League MVP with one Damian Lillard, who shared that MVP with him?
I don't need to. He has an entire segment / award on all Bill Simmons podcasts. It's the Dion Waiters, right?
No, Dion Waiters? Josh Selby. Close.
Who the fuck is Josh Shelby?
Exactly. We have no idea, right? So, that's the point.
Dion Waiters was the year before. That's right. Fuck.
That's fine. Anyways. I know. Yeah. Close enough. But at any rate, no, I just, before we move on, I want to say, I appreciate that you appreciate, you obviously give a shit about basketball. You will, cheer for somebody to the point where their family notices and they appreciate that. That's pretty cool. So good on you for doing that. And yeah, man, I wish I could be there. Maybe next year we can both be there. That'd be awesome. And yeah, for some of these people, to your point, I'm just reiterating what you said. This is the only chance they get to get on the big stage, and it's a cool thing for them. So congrats to the people who are playing. And that is why also in the show notes, I did not say anything about people who I didn't like, because it's just not, we're not going to go there. We're not doing it.
It's not conducive to anything, because if players aren't productive, they're not going to make the team, they're not going to make the cut, all that fun stuff. So, why are we going to shit on guys that are giving it their all in an attempt to make a team? That's not something that we do here. We'll shit on you once you make the team, but if you're trying to make the team, we will not shit on you.
I will admit, if Donavan Clingan had like looked really, 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 really bad, I probably would have said something about it. But like, yeah, it's again like it's it's summer league. What can you take from it? Okay, moving on. Ryan, former teammates appearing on a podcast together. Are you up or down on this concept?
I mean, it just sounds like collusion.
So basically, if like JJ Redick, who's now the coach of the Lakers, had a podcast with like Dwight Howard,
his star player.
What's that?
I said his star player. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. No, they're not doing that anymore. My bad.
There was such a podcast, Ryan, and both of them have Blazers connections.
I know where you're trying to lead me. You're trying to lead me down Chauncey Billups appearing on Rasheed Wallace's pod. I don't care. That just means less text and less media people that you got to go through. That's like me and you texting Keith and saying, "Can you come on the podcast?"
That's true. That's a good point. And Bonzi Wells also was on that podcast, which I appreciate. Here's what I want to say, and I think you and I have differing opinions about this. You know, Chauncey Billups seems to be allergic to taking responsibility for the relative unsuccess of this Blazers team. He's been the coach for 3 years. For 2 of those years, he's had Damian Lillard. Yes, he was injured for 1 of those years. For 2 of those years, he's had a veteran team. And yet he goes on this podcast and he talks about, well, you know, when I took the job, different GM, I thought I was getting a veteran team and I had to be adaptable and blah, blah, blah. Like this line of bullshit that Chauncey Billups continues to string everybody is that, oh, poor me. I came into this situation. I thought I was going to immediately be an amazing coach. You know how many coaches get that situation? First of all, very few. Second of all, you have had a veteran team for 2 of the 3 years you've been coach, and he has the audacity, Ryan, to come on Rasheed Wallace's podcast and say, "Oh, thought I was getting a veteran team, didn't get a veteran team." I think someone has a wee bit of confirmation bias to the things that have most recently happened. Recency bias. Thank you. How do you feel about this? I thought that was unacceptable, and I'm upset. I'm so mad about it. I'm going to write to my senator and say you need to ban Chauncey Billups immediately. But yeah, what's your take on this?
Ron White may respond to that letter.
He might. He loves the Blazers. He really does. I think we can get White on the podcast.
I just absolutely hate the fact that you keep putting me in a position where I have to defend Chauncey because
number one Chauncey Billups defender Ryan Willich.
I swear to God, you know, I have a reputation.
Chauncey Billups.
I have a reputation with people for that. Like I forever kick the can down the road on Chauncey. I'm trying to get away from this reputation, but here we are. No, so like the full context of his quote, if you so will allow me to put this context out there, is that for one, he was talking about like he was hired on for a vet team. Yes, he was. Seasons got away from him. I'm going to give him season 1 went sideways. Season 2 went intentionally sideways. And then he moved on to talking about the importance of vets on a team, which I completely agree with his statement that once you have also transitioned into a rebuilding team, vets are an important aspect. Pardon me if I'm going to really quick. I was going to say, pardon me if I'm going to step on some toes real quick. No, you cannot. You shut up. Damn it. But I do believe there is a difference between the importance of retiring vets or taking advantage of vets in their prime. Now you are allowed to interject.
Question.
Okay.
True or false?
False.
For 2. Man, okay. How dare you? All right, let's try this again. True or false? I thought you were going to say it. Okay. True or false? For 2 of the 3 seasons that Chauncey Billups has been a head coach in the NBA, his team was expected to make the playoffs. True or false?
Right now I have to look up. Isn't he on year 4? Oh, he's going into year 4. That's right.
Going into year 4.
So two of the 3 seasons. 2
of the 3 seasons that team was expected to make the playoffs, correct?
True-ish.
Okay. So now
I will give you a season and a half. The minute that Dame went down with the ab injury in year 2,
so we're gonna get to that.
That went away
just
from
saying, to begin each of those 2 seasons, right? Coming into training camp for both seasons, the expectation was playoffs, correct?
Correct.
Then we have extenuating circumstances, right? Like Dame gets injured, other people have gotten injured.
Would derail any other team's season. So yes.
All I'm saying is, so we'll give him credit for that. All I'm saying is that this dude walked into a situation with veterans, not once, twice. Okay. You can say, oh, Dame got injured and it went sideways. That's fine. You can say, well, like Robert Covington got traded and like someone got injured and Robert Williams got hurt. And like, yes. And this team underperformed 2 years in a row. Yes, they had injuries. Guess what, Ryan? Every fucking team in the league has injuries too. Every one of them. There's not a team in the league that doesn't suffer from injury. And I am so tired of him not just saying, you know what? I just wasn't a very good coach, because he wasn't. I would love to hear him say that.
Immediately pre Chauncey Billups, were the Trailblazers a title contending team?
We're not talking about title contention. No, they weren't.
No. All right, fine. So what were the expectations of the immediate year before Chauncey Billups was hired? And did Terry Stotts meet them or fail them?
A competitive playoff team, I think, was the expectation, right?
And I think Chauncey Billups met that bar.
Okay. What?
The team itself.
In what world does like a 33-win team qualify? I don't know.
The team itself was not structured for success. There's a failure in management and a failure in ownership. I am not trying to completely excuse Chauncey
Terry
Billups.
Stotts
By the way,
these CJ and Dame teams to the Western Conference Final. Do you know who started for the Blazers when they made the Western Conference Finals? Enes Kanter. And
by the way,
Cantor.
Did you know he was fasting? I don't know if you knew this, but he was fasting during that as well.
Which gave him superpowers, apparently.
Anyways, management and ownership has failed this team. Terry Stotts was a victim of that. Chauncey Billups in the beginning of his tenure here was a victim of that. By the way, I'm gonna completely preface this. Everyone will say that I've kicked my Chauncey opinion can down the road. I have now caught up with my can. I have picked it up. I am petting it. I have named it. Its name is Chaunce. It has a tiny little sad face on it. I am holding this can.
Don't name
I'm not
anything
kicking it
Chaunce.
down the road anymore.
That's unacceptable. No.
Do I think he is the coach of the future for the Blazers? No. Do I think that he has done his damnedest?
He hasn't been the coach of anything.
Do I think that he has done his damnedest to skirt responsibilities that I feel as though a coach should own up to? Yes. But I completely agree with every fucking thing he said on that damn podcast.
Every fucking thing that he said?
Unless he said you're allowed to kick puppies. If he said you're allowed to kick puppies, I disagree.
So glad we traded Malcolm Brogdon because he wasn't starting. That dude started like 70% of his games for Portland. What are you talking about? This dude is detached from reality, Ryan.
No. Detached. And by the way, that's where you get that. That's where you get that dichotomy of the back and forth between management and coach. Because I guarantee you, management was saying Brogdon can't start any more than he needs to increase his trade value.
He did start.
And that's when Chauncey put his fucking name down in the number 1 spot to start. Scoot was injured. There were various injuries, whatever. I think that Chauncey, I stand by what he said on that. It was unfair to him to try to have him sit behind so many people in his prime. And that's where I go back to what I was saying about vets, is that I do believe that there's I do believe there's the importance of vets on a team, but you cannot sacrifice a veterans player's prime to sit down behind up and coming rookies. And that is why I do believe that Chauncey made a concerted effort to get Brogdon into the starting lineup more than he was maybe given an allowance to. Go ahead.
I'm holding up what appears to be a pineapple and an owl, and I don't know why, but I need your attention.
I have a TV remote and a highlighter. So what are we doing here?
Love it. Here's the thing. I think that Here, I just had this opinion, Ryan. I think that the line of bullshit that Chauncey Billups is feeding people now on Rasheed Wallace's podcast is the same bullshit that got him hired, is the same bullshit that has given him this semi-positive sheen as a smart guy and a person who's kind of in the know and kind of knows what's going on and like a player's coach. This dude knows how to fucking roll a yarn. You know what he doesn't know how to do? How to actually connect the concepts that he's talking about with reality, because what he's saying doesn't line up with what we've seen, doesn't line up with the facts. I'm so tired of this dude. He needs to be fired. He's not going to be fired. This segues perfectly in our next section about coaching, but before we do that, we need to take a quick break.
I don't think we're getting the Billups interview next year at Summer League.
From your beautiful, luscious lips to God's ears, okay? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We appreciate you. See you in one moment. And we are back. So we've only got a couple. Yes. Let's. What is that? What's this?
I don't know. That's my
right.
poor little arm boy. Like,
you know,
lips,
I have a quick funny story. When I was very afraid of socializing with people, and I was like 18, 19, and I was trying really hard to like, hey, just fit in. Like, I went to this frat party on campus at Oregon State, and there was like music playing and people were there. And I don't know who it was. One of my friends like, dude, just put your hands up and just start dancing. And I was like hanging out.
Put your hands in the air? Like you just don't care?
Like I literally, like I didn't care, is basically what he said. And so I'm like sitting there, I'm like, all right. And I'm going, and the second that I did that, as awkward as that just looked, the second I did that, Ryan, a girl came over, started dancing with me. It was such a life lesson. The lesson being this: if in life, metaphorically, put your hands up and start dancing, because good things will happen. Ryan, good things will be happening for Bryce McGowan. Signed to a two-way with the Blazers. You like that transition? Signed to a two-way with the Blazers. Well, whatever. All right, fine. They can't all be winners, right? Like, most recently played for the Charlotte Hornets. I thought, looked honestly pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Congratulations, you looked horrible.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, despite his 8 points, 2 dimes, 3 steals, he looked like he didn't know how to set people up or where to be or what to do. Maybe that's a function of him coming from Charlotte and coming into Portland, and that's fine. But like, if you have any hot Bryce McGowan takes, I believe that this brings Portland's roster. I think they have two ways remaining, no regular spots.
No regular spots.
Either one or two ways
remaining.
Okay.
One remaining. Come here for all of your most accurate Blazers news. We have this roster down pat.
Listen, it's hey, here it's late. It's 8:00 on the East Coast. You know, I got hit in the face by a foil. I'm doing my best.
Hit in the face by a foil, taking a big swig out of a glass.
That's how you gotta do it. Any hot Bryce McGowan takes?
No relation to Chris McGowan.
I thought the same thing. I'm so glad you went there. I was like, did this dude used to be the president of basketball operations? Yeah.
Did nepotism strike again on the Portland Trail Blazers?
Oh my God. And somehow it always comes back to LeBron James, doesn't it, Ryan? It always does. Whether it's ESPN or We Like the Blazers, we cannot take his name out of our mouths.
I am going to quit this fucking podcast. Like, you have 2 more mentions of Brownie, and then I'm done. I retire. I'm out of podcasting. You have 2 more mentions.
This dude is as tall as I am. Much more athletic. Much better looking.
That is one. You have one more mention.
I'm just saying, the Blazers have signed this individual. He's probably not going to make the team if, again, small sample size, unless something changes pretty drastically. I think
here's also the benefit, too, is that now the Blazers have a legit G League team. So, like, a lot of these signings, these two-way deals, these invite players for their summer league team are also a possibility to make their Rip City Remix roster. So there is an added bonus to watching some of these guys at summer league.
Now, here's what I'll say. First of all, if you live in the Portland area, if you haven't been to a Remix game, you have to go. It's really fun.
I have not.
Parking is free. The games are cheap. They can get hand fruit for $2.
I don't care about fruit. The last thing that I want at a sporting event is fruit.
Well, okay. Well, put the apple in your mouth and shut the fuck up, because you should go to a game. Also, does this not make Coach of the Remix, Coach Jim Moran, look better? I said this on a previous pod. I have the barest of inside sources who suggest that Jim Moran is and will be a coveted NBA assistant coach. He decided to come on to the Remix for one more year. I can almost guarantee you Jim Moran will not be with the Remix after this season. Why? Because he's really good at what he does. If you give Jim Moran a good team, I think that you could see the Remix possibly getting the G League championship, which perfectly segues, Ryan, I hope you appreciate this, into our last bullet point about Ronnie Burrell.
What's your best segue yet?
Ronnie Burrell completing Chauncey Billups' coaching staff as an assistant coach. Ronnie Burrell, Ryan, G League champion coach. Do you have a hot take about this?
Did you know he was the G League champion coach based off name recognition alone before this hire?
What the fuck do you think?
That is a no.
Absolutely not. No, come on. You're giving me way too much credit.
So that's about my opinion. That is about my opinion. I'm like, okay, I see a name pop up. I do some research. I'm like, yeah, sure. Dude seems like a great guy. Seems like he's a good coach. G League Coach of the Year. Sounds fantastic.
He's been an assistant several times in the NBA. He has experience. Great.
Can I just raise my hand and say Scott Brooks previously led a team that he coached to the NBA Finals?
Well,
I have no clue about how the accolades of a coaching hire in the assistant staff category will parlay into performance for the team on the regular season.
I'm going to work on my weird hand gesticulations, Ryan. Pump.
Please don't. We have enough of that in our discourse today.
Pump the brakes, because Scott Brooks inherited a team with prime KD, prime Westbrook, prime Serge Ibaka, a little splash of pre-prime James Harden. Scott Brooks was, what's the opposite of the victim of circumstance? The beneficiary of circumstance? Scott Brooks was never a good coach, okay? Spoiler alert, he's got experience. He coached a good team.
Wizard eraser. Erasure?
Also,
yeah, I hate
by
that
the
word.
way, that's a good. I like the word erasure. Is tough to pronounce, especially when you've had.
It's like Worcestershire
of Cutwater pina coladas with 2 shots of real alcohol, sponsored by Cutwater.
They ain't paying us. Cut that.
They totally do.
That.
By the way, like gluten-free. Let's see. It's got Cutwater rum and Cutwater cream liqueur, produced in San Diego. Home of
all right, folks. That's where we're at in this off season. While Summer League is going on, you can find us at We Like the.
Keep going. Go.
You can find us at We Like the Blazers, or Like the Blazers on Twitter. You can email us at weliketheblazers@gmail.com. You can find him at GoldnerPDX. You can find me at The Witty Ryan. You can somewhere allegedly watch some Trailblazers Summer League basketball games if you want to pay additional money for ESPN Plus. I think these things should be free and easily findable, but that's just my opinion. Anyways. On that note, we will probably be back next week.
One more entity to shout out.
Oh, my God. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you to Rogue Media, and to be a part of the Blazers and Family podcast gives us the greatest pleasure of life, greater than parenthood, greater than being a cat dad, is to be a part of Rogue Media.
I mean, it's awesome, but no. I have 2 kids. They're great. I don't have to do dishes. When I yell at my kids, the dishes get done.
Don't have to mow the lawn. Yeah, I get it.
I can't yell at Rogue Media and get my dishes done, but they're fantastic, and I love them. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Rogue Media. Thank you, Blazers Edge. On that note, go Blazers.
Go Blazers. Yes. Best episode
stand by
ever.
the clunkiest closeout ever.
No,
I stand by it.
Come on, man.
And this stays in. This stays in.
Okay, this stays. Yeah, this stays.